When tech billionaire Oliver Hartwell loses everything in a single day and meets Emma Rosewood, a widow accused of murdering her husband, their desperate alliance becomes a deadly game of survival, deception, and unexpected love. Hello, beautiful souls. Tonight's story will take you on a journey where hearts are tested and destinies collide. Let's dig in. The scream of metal against concrete echoed through the rain-soaked parking garage as Oliver Hartwell's Porsche scraped against the concrete pillar. His hands shook against the steering wheel, knuckles white with the effort of holding himself together. The board meeting had been a massacre. 12 years building his tech empire, and in 2 hours, they'd voted him out. His own company. His life's work. The bottle of prescription pills rattled in his jacket pocket as he stumbled toward the elevator. Ambien. Enough to make everything stop hurting. The garage's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting sickly shadows that made his reflection in the elevator doors look like a corpse. 3rd floor. The law offices of Morrison and Associates. Where his attorney waited with divorce papers from Victoria, his wife of 8 years. Where the final nail would be driven into the coffin of his old life. The elevator doors opened with a soft ding. Emma Rosewood stood inside, her back pressed against the far wall, eyes red-rimmed and hollow. She clutched a manila envelope to her chest like armor. When she saw him, her breath caught. Not with recognition, but with the instinctive fear of a wounded animal encountering another predator. Going up or down? Oliver's voice came out rougher than he intended. Down, she whispered. All the way down. He stepped inside, and the doors sealed them together in the small metal box. The silence stretched between them, heavy with shared desperation. Oliver noticed the bruise on her wrist, barely visible beneath her sleeve. Emma saw the hollow look in his eyes, the way his expensive suit couldn't hide the fact that he was falling apart. Bad day? He asked, surprising himself. Emma laughed, but it sounded more like a sob. My husband just died. Overdose. The police think I killed him. The elevator jerked to a stop between floors. Emergency lights flickered on, bathing them both in hellish red. In that moment, looking at each other in the crimson glow, Oliver made a decision that would damn them both. I was just about to kill myself, he said quietly. Want to help each other survive instead? The emergency technician took 40 minutes to free them from the elevator. 40 minutes of sitting on the floor in the dark, sharing secrets that should have stayed buried. Emma told him about David's gambling debts, the money that disappeared from her account, the life insurance policy he'd taken out months before his death. Oliver told her about the embezzlement charges his board had discovered, the evidence planted by someone who wanted him destroyed. The irony is, I actually am innocent this time, Oliver said, his back against the elevator wall. 15 years of cutting throats to build my empire, and they're destroying me for the one crime I didn't commit. Emma studied his face in the dim emergency lighting. What did you mean about helping each other survive? You need an alibi. I need to disappear until I can figure out who set me up. His eyes met hers. We could be each other's salvation. When the doors finally opened, they walked out together. To the security cameras, to the emergency responders, they looked like two strangers who'd been trapped together. But Emma slipped him her business card with an address written on the back. Oliver palmed her a key to a cabin upstate that officially didn't exist. 3 days later, Emma sat across from Detective Morrison in an interview room that smelled like stale coffee and desperation. The detective's questions came like bullets, but Emma had her armor now. Mrs. Rosewood, where were you on the evening of March 15th? With Oliver Hartwell. We met when we were trapped in an elevator. He asked me to dinner. The lie flowed smoothly. We were together from 7 p.m. until the next morning. Detective Morrison's eyebrows shot up. The tech billionaire? The one all over the news for the embezzlement scandal? I don't really follow business news, Emma said with perfect innocence. He seemed nice. Lonely. Meanwhile, 200 miles north, Oliver chopped wood behind a cabin that had been his grandfather's refuge. His hands were raw and bleeding, but the physical pain felt good. Real. It drowned out the sound of his phone buzzing with calls from reporters, lawyers, and Victoria's attorney. He didn't answer any of them. But when Emma's number flashed on the screen, he picked up immediately. "It worked," she said without preamble. "They believe we're having an affair. The detective actually looked disgusted that I'd sleep with you for money." Oliver laughed bitterly. "Little do they know I'm broke. My accounts are frozen, my assets seized. I brought groceries. And some of David's clothes. They might fit you." The line went quiet. When Oliver spoke again, his voice was different. Vulnerable. "Emma, why are you helping me? You don't know me. I could be everything they say I am." Emma stared out at the rain falling on her apartment window, at the photo of David she hadn't been able to take down. "Because when you looked at me in that elevator, you didn't see a murderer or a victim. You saw someone who was drowning, just like you." "I'll be there in an hour," Oliver said. As Emma hung up, she caught her reflection in the dark window. For the first time since David's death, she didn't look like a ghost. She looked like a woman with secrets worth keeping. Outside her apartment, a black sedan pulled away from the curb. The man inside made a call. "She's involved with Hartwell now. This complicates things." The cabin sat like a scar against the winter landscape, dark windows reflecting nothing. Emma's hands trembled as she knocked, more from anticipation than cold. When Oliver opened the door, she barely recognized him. 3 weeks of hiding had stripped away his corporate polish. His hair was longer, stubble darkened his jaw, and David's flannel shirt hung loose on his frame. "You look like a different person," she said, stepping inside. "I feel like one." He took the grocery bags from her hands, their fingers brushing. Neither pulled away. The man who walked into that elevator was dying. This version might actually survive. The cabin was sparse but warm. A fire crackled in the stone fireplace, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Emma noticed the stack of papers on the kitchen table, covered in Oliver's precise handwriting. "What's all that?" "Evidence. I've been digging into my own company's finances. Whoever framed me is good, but they made mistakes." His jaw tightened. "I think I know who it is." Emma moved to the table, scanning the financial documents. Numbers had always made sense to her in a way people never did. These transfers, they're almost too perfect. Like someone wanted them to be found. Exactly. The question is, why frame me instead of just stealing quietly? Emma's finger traced a series of payments. Her blood went cold. "Oliver, this date. March 10th. That's 5 days before David died. What about it?" She pulled out her phone, scrolling through old messages. David got a text that night. From someone offering him a way out of his debts. "I thought it was another loan shark, but..." She showed him the number. Oliver's face went white. "That's my CFO's burner phone." The pieces clicked into place with horrible clarity. David's overdose hadn't been suicide or an accident. It had been murder. And whoever killed her husband was the same person destroying Oliver's life. "Emma, we need to leave. Now." As if summoned by his words, headlights swept across the cabin windows. 2 cars, moving fast up the mountain road. "Back door," Oliver said, grabbing the financial documents and a gun from a drawer Emma hadn't known existed. "There's a trail behind the house. It leads to an old mining road." They ran into the night, footsteps muffled by snow. Behind them, men's voices shouted orders. A flashlight beam swept through the trees, missing them by inches. "Who are they?" Emma gasped as they stumbled down the rocky trail. "People who want us dead before we can prove the truth." They reached Oliver's hidden motorcycle just as gunshots echoed through the forest. Oliver kick-started the engine while Emma climbed on behind him, wrapping her arms around his waist. As they roared down the mountain, she pressed her face against his back and felt his heart hammering against her cheek. At a motel 50 miles away, they sat on the edge of a sagging bed, still catching their breath. Emma's hand shook as she tried to process everything. David didn't just die because of gambling debts, did he? Someone killed him to frame me, to keep me distracted while they destroyed you. Oliver nodded grimly. We were both played from the beginning. The question is how deep this goes. Emma looked at him in the harsh fluorescent light. This man who'd been a stranger 3 weeks ago was now the only person she trusted. The only person who believed her innocence and shared her danger. What happens now? Oliver's hand found hers, their fingers intertwining. Now we stop running and start hunting. As he said it, Emma's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. We have the real evidence about your husband's murder. Come alone to the warehouse on Pier 19 tomorrow at midnight, or we release it to the police. Your billionaire boyfriend's protection won't save you then. Emma showed him the message. Oliver's grip on her hand tightened. It's a trap. I know, Emma said quietly. But what if it's also our only chance at the truth? The warehouse squatted against the harbor like a dead whale, its broken windows staring blindly at the black water. Emma walked through the rusted door alone, as instructed. The smell of salt and decay filled her nostrils. Somewhere in the darkness, footsteps echoed. You came. The voice belonged to a woman. Familiar, but wrong somehow. Emma spun around as a figure stepped from the shadows. Victoria Hartwell. Oliver's wife. The woman was supposed to be in Switzerland, finalizing their divorce. Surprised? Victoria's smile was sharp as broken glass. You shouldn't be. Who else knew Oliver well enough to destroy him so completely? You framed your own husband? I saved myself from a sinking ship. Oliver was getting too close to finding out about my real business interests. The embezzlement was just the beginning. Victoria moved closer, and Emma saw the gun in her manicured hand. David wasn't supposed to die. He was just supposed to seduce you away from Oliver, make you vulnerable. But your sweet, addicted husband got greedy. Started threatening to expose everything. Emma's world tilted. You killed David. I made it look like you killed David. Much cleaner that way. 2 birds, 1 stone. Oliver destroyed, you in prison. Victoria's laugh was cold. But then you two had to go and fall in love. Quite touching, really. The warehouse door clanged shut behind Emma. Victoria's smile widened. Did you really think I'd let you walk away? You know too much now. The police know where I am, Emma lied. No, they don't. But Oliver does. He's probably racing here right now to save you. Victoria checked her watch. Should be here in about 10 minutes. Just enough time for us to set the stage. She gestured to the far corner of the warehouse, where Emma now saw a chair, rope, and something that looked horribly like gasoline cans. You're going to die in a fire, Emma. So tragic. Oliver's grief-stricken lover, unable to live with the guilt of her husband's murder, takes her own life. Oliver will be so devastated, he might just confess to everything to join you. Emma backed toward a stack of shipping containers. He'll never believe I killed myself. He will when he finds your suicide note. I've gotten quite good at forging handwriting. Victoria pulled out a folded paper. It's all here. How you poisoned David, how you seduced Oliver for his money, how the guilt finally drove you to end it all. The sound of a motorcycle engine roared outside. Oliver. Right on schedule, Victoria said. Now, let's make this look convincing. Emma ran. She darted between shipping containers as Victoria's gun barked behind her. A bullet sparked off metal inches from her head. She could hear Oliver shouting her name from outside, but the warehouse doors were locked from within. She reached the far end of the building and found herself trapped. Victoria appeared around the corner of a container, gun raised. Enough games. The explosion of gunfire echoed through the warehouse. Emma screamed and closed her eyes, waiting for pain that didn't come. When she opened them, Victoria was on the ground, clutching her shoulder. Oliver stood in the doorway, smoking gun in his hand. How did you get in? Victoria gasped. I know this warehouse. I've been tracking you for weeks, Victoria. Ever since I realized the embezzlement charges were too perfect, too convenient. Oliver moved toward them, keeping the gun trained on his wife. I just needed Emma to draw you out. Emma stared at him. You used me as bait? I saved your life, Oliver said, but something in his voice had changed. Gone was the vulnerable man from the cabin. In his place stood someone harder. Colder. Victoria's right about one thing, Emma. I was getting close to discovering her operation. But not because I was innocent. The world seemed to tilt around Emma. What are you saying? I'm saying I've been embezzling from my own company for 2 years. Funding black market operations, moving money for people who don't exist on any government list. Oliver's smile was nothing like the man she'd fallen in love with. Victoria found out and tried to take over. Frame me, eliminate me, steal everything I'd built. But the evidence we found was real. Just not complete. Oliver moved closer, and Emma saw her death in his eyes. I'm sorry, Emma. You were never supposed to get this deep. You were just supposed to be my alibi. Victoria laughed wetly from the floor. Look at that, Oliver. She actually believed you cared about her. Emma felt something break inside her chest. Not her heart. Something deeper. Her faith in her own judgment, her ability to see people clearly. The elevator, she whispered. That wasn't an accident. No. I needed someone desperate, someone the police would believe was having an affair with me. A recent widow with motive to lie. Oliver's voice was almost gentle. I'm sorry it has to end this way. Emma looked at the gun in his hand, then at Victoria bleeding on the concrete floor. Two predators who'd used her grief, her loneliness, her desperate need to believe someone could save her. You're right, she said quietly. I am desperate. She pulled the small revolver from her jacket. David's gun. The one the police never found because she'd hidden it so well. But I'm not helpless. The standoff stretched between them like a held breath. 3 damaged people in a warehouse full of shadows, each pointing a weapon at their own destruction. Emma, Oliver said carefully. You don't want to do this. Don't I? You killed my husband to frame me. You used my grief to manipulate me. You made me fall in love with a lie. Her voice was steady now. The funny thing is, I really did kill David. Both Victoria and Oliver stared at her. He was beating me. Had been for years. The gambling, the debts, that was all true. But the night he died, he came home and told me about the woman who'd offered him money to seduce someone else. To destroy a man named Oliver Hartwell. Emma's smile was sharp. So I put the pills in his drink myself. The warehouse fell silent except for the sound of water lapping against the pier outside. The question now, Emma continued, is whether I'm going to let you two destroy each other, or if I'm going to finish the job myself. Time moved like honey in the warehouse. 3 people, 3 guns, 3 different versions of the truth hanging in the salt-heavy air. Emma felt the weight of David's revolver in her hand, steady now after so many nights of practice, preparing for this moment she'd always known would come. You can't kill us both, Victoria said, pressing her hand against her bleeding shoulder. I don't have to kill you both. Emma's voice was calm as winter water. One of you is going to kill the other. I'm just going to choose which one survives. Oliver's grip shifted on his weapon. Emma, whatever you think happened, I know exactly what happened. You're both psychopaths who used my husband's weakness and my grief for your own ends. The only difference is that Victoria killed David when he became inconvenient, while you were content to let him destroy me slowly. Emma's eyes never wavered from Oliver's. But you made one mistake, Oliver. You made me believe that someone could care about me. That I was worth saving. I do care about you. The words came out broken, and for a moment, Emma saw the man from the elevator again. desperate, lost. Everything else was a lie, but that was real. Prove it. Oliver's hand trembled slightly. How? Drop your gun. Let me walk away. Let me disappear. Victoria laughed harshly. He won't do it. He can't afford to let either of us live. We know too much. But Oliver was already lowering his weapon. He set it on the concrete floor and kicked it away, his eyes never leaving Emma's face. There's money. Accounts Victoria doesn't know about. Enough for you to start over anywhere you want. He reached slowly into his jacket and pulled out a small notebook. Swiss banks, Cayman accounts, cryptocurrency wallets. Take it all. Emma stared at him. Why? Because you're right. I made you believe you were worth saving. And you are. More than either of us deserves. Victoria snarled and lunged for Oliver's discarded gun. Emma's shot took her in the chest before her fingers could close around the grip. Victoria fell backward, her eyes wide with surprise, and then went still. The echo of the gunshot faded into silence. Oliver looked at his wife's body, then at Emma. What now? Emma kept the gun trained on him as she picked up his notebook. Now you walk away. Leave the country. Disappear completely. If I ever see your face again, if you ever try to contact me, I'll kill you. And if the police? The police will find Victoria Hartwell's body and evidence that she killed my husband and embezzled from your company. They'll find a murder-suicide scene where grief drove her to kill herself after confessing. Emma's smile was cold. I've gotten very good at staging crime scenes. Oliver nodded slowly. He looked smaller now, older. The predator was gone, leaving behind only a broken man who'd gambled everything and lost. Emma, don't. She stepped back as he moved toward the door. Don't say anything else. Just go. He paused at the threshold. For what it's worth, I really did fall in love with you. I know. That's why you're still alive. After he left, Emma sat alone in the warehouse with Victoria's body and the smell of gunpowder. She pulled out her phone and dialed 911. I need to report a murder, she said when the operator answered. A woman broke into the warehouse where I was meeting someone. She had a gun. She said she killed my husband. We struggled, and the gun went off. It would work. Emma had learned from the best, after all. 6 months later, she stood on a beach in Costa Rica, watching the sunset paint the ocean in shades of gold and red. The insurance money from David's death, combined with Oliver's hidden accounts, had bought her a new name, a new life, and enough distance from the woman she used to be. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I kept my promise. Are you happy? Emma deleted the message without replying. Oliver was alive, somewhere in the world, and that was enough. She'd chosen mercy over justice, love over revenge. It was more than any of them deserved, but it was the choice that let her sleep at night. She walked back to her small house on the cliff, where no one knew her real name or the weight of the secrets she carried. The woman who had trembled in that elevator was gone. In her place was someone harder, wiser, and finally free. The past was dead and buried in a warehouse by the harbor. What mattered now was the future stretching out before her like an endless ocean, full of possibilities she had never dared to imagine. Emma Rosewood was dead. The woman who remained had no name but the one she chose for herself each morning, and that was exactly how she wanted it. She closed the door on another perfect sunset and began planning her next move. The end. Subscribe for more intense psychological dramas, dark romance stories, and plot-twisting tales that will keep you up all night.